think that I'm going to hiding, somewhere by a gated star. Baby, they ain't never gonna find me. I'm a renegade. I could be the one who saved you from this place. We could be as one and we'll escape. We could run away, we don't gotta stay. I can feel it, it burns inside me. Take away the pain, we can go insane. I can feel it, it burns inside me. Burns inside me. Burns inside me. Burns inside me. I won't let you down. We could have the world to ourselves, going to a place that's far, staring at the stars for hours, 'cause you're a renegade. I could be the one who saved you from this place. We could be as one and we'll escape. We could run away, we don't gotta stay. I can feel it, it burns inside me. Take away the pain, we can go insane. I can feel it, it burns inside me. We could run away, we don't gotta stay. I can feel it, it burns inside me. Take away the pain, we can go insane. Trust me, I won't let you down. I won't let you down.
welcome to this episode of the Tequila Hombre. We're our first ever live stream for tasting and education. We've never done a live tasting live stream before, but this is our first one, so we're kind of excited about that. And then what this is going to do, this is going to kick off a new series for the Tequila Hombre, where we're going to start bringing brand owners and producers and stuff in for live streams where we find out more about them, about how they do things, about their family history, and then also learn about how they produce things and talk about their products. So look for more live streams like this. They're not necessarily going to be tasting like this one is, but look for more live streams with producers and with brand owners in the near future, because we're going to be kicking off that series. This is the first one that they're going to do. This one's going to be a little different in that we're going to be talking about a mezcal. But I know when I say mezcal, people all of a sudden go like, "Ooh, smoky! Oh, mezcal!" Don't think that way. This is really, truly, it can be truly an ancestral tequila. So there's going to be a lot of history about tequila and stuff talked about in this, and so get your notepads out. Take some notes, because there's going to be some history stuff talked about. But also, hopefully you have your glass ready, your drinking vessel, and then a bottle of the Paradas Patria La Luna Mezcal, as we're going to do a tasting on this as well. And I'm going to kind of walk you through tasting it, because for those of you that have never stepped into the mezcal world, it does have a different flavor profile. And it's not going to taste like the tequila that you've gotten used to. It's going to taste different. So it may have an acclimation period. And so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about how to develop your palate to the point where you become used to it and you can start really diving deep into the flavor profiles in it. So get your glass ready. Make sure you have a bottle of water. I keep this here with water to clean my palate. And then we'll walk you through the tasting part, and we'll do some tasting notes. We'll have you guys share your tasting notes as well, and we'll answer questions as well. So it'll be a great, informative episode. So on that note, without any further ado, please welcome my guest, Salvador Chavez from La Luna Mezcal. Hey, Salvador.
Hey. ¿Cómo estás, Mark? How are you?
Muy bien, gracias. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. Excited to be on here. Seems like it's been a long time since the last time we connected this way.
Yes, and we're excited to have you on, and excited to talk about this wonderful mezcal. Now, I want to kind of share with people the story on how this came to me, and some people, think I get paid by you guys and stuff, which there's no payment being exchanged. The way the story on how this happened is we did a batch previously with Salvador, and it was a really good batch. It was also Weber Blue Agave. It was also ancestral. There's a little difference in that one and then with this one, but he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I know we had talked previously about trying to do something that was ancestral tequila related." And so he reached out to me and said, "Hey, we did this batch that's basically an ancestral tequila, exact what an ancestral tequila would be like. But since, we're CRM certified and stuff, we can't call it tequila. I can't certify it with the CRT. But I'd like to send you a bottle and see what you think. And if you like it, would you be interested in picking up the batch?" And so I said, sure. So he sent me a bottle and I tasted it and we talked about it. And I really liked the flavor profile of it. It's one of the most complex, robust flavor profiles I've had of any of the ancestral tequilas on the market. I was really impressed by it. And so I said, yeah, okay, we're going to take the whole thing on this. And then we set this up with him. And did anything I say here sound incorrect at all, Salvador?
Not at all. No,
okay.
It sounds spot on. Obviously, that was a while ago. And we've continued to work. I'm actually curious. I don't remember what batch number that was, but I'd be curious to, if you have a bottle handy, to look at that label and see what the lote on the bottle says. Because we've done a lot of work since then, which has only helped us grow and evolve as producers. And I
can grab a bottle.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious because. Okay.
Let me grab one here.
Yeah. Well, while we wait, say cheers to those watching. Nice to reconnect with you guys again. It'll be fun to answer some of your guys' questions around this batch, the Paradas por Patria series, this batch particularly. If not anything that we do for La Luna Mezcal, ask away. It'd be fun to engage with you guys. Let's see. I definitely made Mark work on this one to find that one.
Let me see if you can have it over here. Let me see what I'm here. No.
I'll look for it. Don't worry. I'll find it somewhere in my notes.
I thought I had one handy, but I don't. I have to find it. So I'll find it and I'll message you. I'll tell you what load it is.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna see if I have it.
Oh wait, here, hold on.
Chance.
Here it is. Okay, here's one right here. Hold on.
Got it? There we go. I see. Oh, I see. 47. Do you see that as 47 on your end?
All right, this one is load 47.
47, yeah, 47. That's right.
Yeah, let me see if I
Yeah,
can.
that's a guy.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at this batch, this is 182 of the Paradas por Patria, and I just got back from Arvinata this morning, technically, and we have batches already in the 200s. So we've been quite the busy bees down there in Michoacan, getting all this done. So I think that this batch had a lot more intentionality than some things we've even done in the past, which is saying a lot because almost everything we do with a lot of intention. But it was an effort that really spoke to history in a few ways, and then really spoke to Adrian Gallegos, who's my hermano business partner in Mexico. And I'll get to that in a second. So I'm sure there's a lot more questions before I dive deeper into it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, just people are just saying hi right now. They're just, hey.
Nice.
Hola. Saludos.
Nice. ¿Qué onda? ¿Qué onda?
Saludos.
Amigo. Hey, ¿qué onda? From Vegas.
Thank you, Chab.
Nice.
So the thing I want you to kind of go over for us now is the idea behind this particular load, what you were looking to do, and how you did it. What was the processes used for this particular ancestral?
So obviously we're a brand that's still to be discovered by many. Luckily, we have a lot of folks that we've connected with and have purchased bottles and connected with us by visiting or even via social media. But if you don't know who we are, we're from Michoacan. That's our whole backbone, our story. My family specifically is from Cotija de la Paz, Michoacan, famously known for cotija cheese. And so our brand literally like lives and dies by that state, and kind of everything we try to do is to represent that state. Well, along the way, as we grew our expression base, we added tequilana, which a lot of you have had, and across all our markets in the U.S., which are right now 29, you might find that blue label tequilana, roughly speaking, $79.99 on the shelf, give or take, north to 84, a little lower in some places. With Blue Weber, and the reason for this was because Michoacan has both denomination of origin to make either mezcal or tequila, historically speaking. And so with this means that there's a lot of Blue Weber in our state. And so how we wanted to take advantage of that was to make a batch that would represent historical tequila. In some ways, everything we do with La Luna is kind of approved by my grandfather, Miguel, who lives about 30 minutes away from me in California. And he, back in the day, used to be catador de mezcal, not a producer, but someone that would kind of qualify mezcal and cotija. And so for me, taking batches to him is like really getting like the nod, like, okay, this is good, it's tasty. And there's some certain things that I learned along the way that I have to hit with him, right? That being ABV, certain things with texture and all those good things. And so this Paradas por Patria series, we started, I believe 2 years ago now. I don't even remember because we've started so many different little programs. And the whole idea, Paradas por Patria, so the X in Spanish, like sometimes people write ex favor, which really just means por favor, because when you do multiplications in Spanish, it's dos por dos, like 2 times 2. So it means it's por, so Paradas por Patria. So every time we change out our bowl where we are distilling, because we use a copper bowl and then usually a wood montera and a copper cone, and every time we have to switch that out to enter new liquid for distilling, we call it a parada, and that's how we kind of measure things. When we talk about a fermentation vat, we can say, hey, ¿cuántas paradas te salió de esa tina? right? Like how many runs did you get out of that tub, that fermentation vat? And so that's the term parada. And as you can tell with the label, it's very Mexican flag related, right?
Yeah,
Literally.
yeah.
And the purpose for that was because we wanted to pay homage to the idea that el 16 de septiembre, o el grito, was our real Independence Day because, as you know, Cinco de Mayo kind of took that theme and ran with it, and the U.S. market ran with it. And so now Cinco de Mayo is, Margarita Day and Corona Day, and whoever marketed the best day, right? But everyone, a lot of people, not everyone, seems to think that it's Mexican Independence Day. And for us, was like, hey, we really rest on the idea that we're a really traditional brand, right? With the lineage, the going back to Mexico, everything that we produce and the way that we produce it, we try to be as traditional as possible. And once again, going with the idea of intentionality. And so we're like, hey, let's come out on September 16th with the opposite of what most people want to drink with anything Mexican, which is usually cristalino, right? These days, you see a lot
Yeah.
of 1800, a lot of these, the 1942 bottles, a lot of different brands, Dovel. And we're like, let's come out with as unique of a tequilana as we could do on that day, really paying homage to ancestral or historical tequila. And when I say that, what I'm referencing is basically like if you take a time capsule back to the 1800s, early 1900s, there's a better chance that people were drinking something like this than something that today as tequila. Like that's kind of what I'm referencing. I always tell people this is how I imagine my ancestors drank the tequila profile before it became its current industrial version. So we did a run last year, but that run was different in the sense that we allowed each account that we partnered with to make a decision on the batch. What ABV they wanted, everything above 45. If they wanted to distill it with anything like a destilado con or pechuga, and all those things. That was very, as you can imagine, tedious. I think we launched 12 different batches. Each account wanted something different, but each one was its unique parada. That was the whole purpose, right? Like we did one parada for each customer. Well, this year, like, let's simplify it a little bit, but let's go with something that's a little bit more true to us that we're like excited about. Well, Adrian Gallegos, which I mentioned earlier, he always speaks to La Máquina 501. And La Máquina 501 is referencing a train that had a lot to do with Pancho Villa and this idea that he stole that train, and because of him stealing that train and basically using the railways in that specific machine to arm certain areas or advance the movement back then, it led to a victory for us as Mexicans. And so he always references Máquina 501, Máquina 501. And so I said, hey, why don't we do this batch 50.1% to reference Máquina 501? So it speaks to this idea of Mexican history that he speaks to very well. Adrian, no, for all of you that have met him, Adrian back in the day, and even still, was a bookworm to the point where he knows history and politics and all these things at such a deep level that like he's the one that's always kind of giving me some tidbits about like, hey, did you know this? Or hey, if you recognize that, it's because of this, or this statue here, because in Michoacan there's a lot of different figures that have statues around the state. Oh, that's because this guy did this or whatever. And so this Máquina 501 always resonated with me. Like I'm like, dude, like we have to do something with this idea because it's such a pivotal piece of his thinking around Mexican history and all that good stuff. And it was around September 16th launch of this batch. And that's what it was. And so that's what we did. But now the second thing was the first batch that we did of the Paradas por Patria. They were all wood distillation. So the wood's traditional still. And this one we went the ancestral route, which is a clay pot still, which in a lot of ways, once you get to tasting, I think that's where a lot of the minerality comes through because of that clay pot still. And it's not so much that we literally like said, oh, let's just arbitrarily use clay pots. Not a lot of people know this, but where we're from in Cotija, which sits in what's called La Sierra del Tigre, because that flows into Jalisco and Michoacan, that clay pot's been the distillation method historically speaking. When we first built that vinata, which is like 100 yards from where my dad was born, a lot of my family even that came to the inauguration, they were like, what are these wood stills? Like, or what are these wood contraptions? They didn't even call them stills. I'm like, oh, those are stills just like those clay. They had never seen them. So in some ways, we kind of brought something that was a part of Michoacan, that is a part of Michoacan, but not a part of that region, which is kind of cool. Like in some ways, La Luna brought two different distillation cultures together in Cotija. And so that's why we chose the clay pot, right? Like really playing back into history and a lot of what the clay pot means to Mexico as a whole for distillation, and for us as a brand, dating back to our existence being in Cotija. So that's kind of the gist of it all. Blue Weber, so traditional tequila was or historical ancestral tequila, really the idea and theme, and then all these different components about the ABV and where it lands. And I think that the ABV at that percent, I know that at some point when people first hear it, they're scared, or frightened, thinking, oh my god, this is gonna be super harsh. And I feel like, I don't know, one thing, Mark, with that first batch that we did with the tree trunk still, which was also categorically ancestral, I feel like we converted a lot of people into to mezcal, not lovers maybe, but drinkers, because I still use a lot of the reviews that I find on the Ferment and Still website for that batch as references to our brand in terms of consumer reviews, because I was fascinated. I was like, this is really cool, because people were like, man, this is the best mezcal I've ever had, or an approachable mezcal. And to think that people were saying that with an ABV at 48 or 48 and a half, like, this is kind of pushing the envelope to 50 maybe a little bit, because we obviously have a 55 out there also. But like, it's when people try it, they're like, oh, it doesn't taste 50, but all that means to me kind of is like the quality of spirit might be different than some things that they're used to, because I've always said someone can make a really harsh 40% tequila or equally a very delicious 55. Both things are true. And so for us as mezcal producers, I think, we always attempt to produce something with viscosity, which is why the ABV is important, and a lot of layers of flavor. We don't shorten our fermentation to like get product out faster. We let it take its course all the way through. And I think you can taste it in the sips that you have of our brand.
Yeah, no, you definitely can taste it. You definitely can taste a lot of complexity and stuff in it, and you can taste the passion and the hard work and stuff that went into it as well, which is one of the reasons why I really liked it and said, okay, we got to do this. Same with the batch, the La Luna batch that the Temporada de Lluvias that we did originally, and I'm still surprised that there's still plenty of that left. Because I was hoping that once people tried it and got over the whole mezcal, thinking in their head, the whole preconceived notion about mezcal, that they would, say, okay, this is, like an ancestral tequila, although there is pomegranate, in was it the third distillation? I think you did 3 distillations on this.
For us, second. But yeah, typically a lot of time, for us second, but a lot of people that do destilado con do the third. I think that time's coming, Mark. In my opinion, the days of people actually, taking a shot of those bottles at those price points with the mezcal label on it or title on it, I think they're ahead of us versus behind us. Because, the fact that you even have a crowd that's so heavily focused on tequila that would pivot to drink mezcal in the way that they have with that expression, the folks that have purchased this one, I think it says a lot, because I think from a percentage standpoint, we still see tequila dominates. It's just such a dominant figure out there as a category. But, the La Luna, I hope, with our regular tequila expression, as well as these efforts that we've done with this and some recent ones that we've done that are a little bit more unique that I can speak to. My hope is that we can start attracting, some of the folks that have been tequila fans forever, maybe even high proof whiskey fans, some people that appreciate flavor, not, because yes, this product would make a killer margarita, absolutely, Paloma.
Yeah.
I just don't know if you want to spend that much money for a mixer,
Yeah, no.
It would be a treat, and it would probably spoil your palate, but it would work for that too. But I think it's better for, sipping and enjoying.
Well, what I hope to do with this, is to introduce people to that are tequila fans to something that's still basically tequila, except for you can't use the name because of the rules set forth and who certifies it. But it's basically the same thing as tequila, but it really takes you on a bigger journey than what tequila does these days. And I try to tell people now, when you've had as much tequila as I have over the years and do enough reviews and try different, after a while, it gets to the point where you look for something a little different because everything's kind of almost the same. You're looking at the same flavor profiles, just different tweaks to it. So you look for something a little more complexity and a little more, takes you on a little more of a journey when you're tasting it. And so that's why sometimes when some brands come out where they do something completely different, I get really excited about it. And that's why I got really excited about this, because this is something that that I think tequila drinkers could really grab, take a hold of, and after getting acclimated to the flavor profile, be something that they love, which opens the door to a whole bunch of other different expressions from La Luna, as well as from other mezcaleros out there, and it opens up a whole new world to them. And so that's what I'm really excited about, is opening up that door, opening up that world, and getting them and having them appreciate some of the flavors you can get from some of the other agave varietals that you use out of La Luna, as well as other mezcaleros use as well, because you have some really fascinating expressions. It was the one with the Chino. I love the Chino and the flavor profile. Yeah, it's almost like a pine forest when you're drinking it.
Exactly. I would say that too.
I love that.
Yeah, I feel like our line, because like there's a lot of great curated brands out there that curate their lineup, right? Like I have many friends that have a lot of brands, but the one that comes to mind a lot is Derrumbes, as a brand that has one expression from each state that's in the DO. And the cool thing about La Luna compared to that, in my opinion, while I love that aspect of what mezcal is, because they do a heck of a job finding unique expression from those states. Like in our lineup, since we produce everything ourselves almost identically, because for us, the only thing that really shifts is the seasons, because we have an open air facility. Is that each expression does speak very differently, and you get a chance to understand how diverse each one is. Because it's 2024. I've been doing this for quite some time, and I felt like by now I'd bust out our lineup, because I do it, with all the color range, and people are like, "What's the difference between all of them?" And I always get like just even fascinated with that idea, because I'm like, "Oh wow, we're still not there." In my world, we're there because I live in that world, where I think that I've said it enough that everybody knows, but that's obviously a very dumb thought. And so like going back to the same, like I feel like our better days for mezcal as a whole are ahead of us, where people can sit and enjoy a flight, and appreciate whether it's different producers or the same producer with various expressions. That's kind of the cool part about mezcal and how that gets done. So, and to your point about tequila, like I find it to be the same way. Like you almost have to choose to do something very obscure to be a standout at this point, because a lot of the great brands that we love, they all come from a lot of the same places. There's 4 or 5 brands from the same facilities, and mind you, I do understand that they're all different. I don't negate that, but it's hard still, because one way or the other, it's a lot of the same magician or hands or producer who's kind of like got their hands in there making the magic work. So there's a lot of their same, like I always, because obviously that my connection with 1414 and
just so people, just to let people know, just let me interrupt you for a second. Salvador here owns Grande Vejo and works with the Vivancos on it, and has actually had Salvador or Sergio Cruz come out into Michoacan and do a batch of their artisanal tequiliana with them when they first started that line. So he's really tight with Sergio Cruz out of 1414 and his brand Grande Vejo, which I'm sure many of you have heard before, maybe did not know that was his brand. But he's got ties with tequila too, so it's not really a bias thing, it's more of an experience thing. Okay, so go ahead. I just want to let people
100%.
that background.
Yeah, I live in both worlds, which is kind of interesting. We live in La Luna as a producer of the only brand that comes out of our facility, so it's like a La Luna facility. And I live in the world where I have a great connection with 1414, the Vivanco family, Sergio Cruz, to understand how they kind of work differences between Grande Vejo and Yayo and Artenom or all these different great brands that come out of that facility. But nevertheless, we all get the same stamp, in one way or the other, and so it's I see it more and more where a lot, and it's great in some ways too, because the fact that we all have that, like in some way brings out the competitive side of us and find a way to differentiate. So I'm always fascinated to see some of the things that some brands are doing, whether it's 1414, a lot of the great distilleries around Mexico. You see folks today kind of doing some more unique things, pushing the needle a little bit. And I don't want to give mezcal too much credit, but I feel like it has a lot to do with it, because I can't recall historically, but the other day on a Facebook thread, I saw someone post a bottle of the blue label Grande Vejo High Proof, which was the OG batch. And the date on it was 2017. And I do remember, and once again, we could bring out the historical ledger, that we were one of the first ones that came out with the high proof. Like at 2017, that was definitely rare compared to today, where everyone has one. And a lot of the thinking behind that high proof was mezcal. Like we were doing La Luna, and we were doing it at 48 and a half. And so like for us, that our GD high proof lives at 49%. Like it had a lot to do with that. And then from that point forward, you know, mezcal growing and people like starting to learn a little bit about those ABVs. Almost everyone started coming out with a high proof, including obviously Ocho with their Punta series, right? Like pushing the needle, something different. And those things to me seem more similar to what we've always done in mezcal and a lot of great brands from Oaxaca and the other places that have traditional products. And so yeah, it's just an interesting time to live in, right? 2024. I don't know. You know better than I do because you probably get them in the mail. There's got to be 40, 50 high proofs out there, you know.
Yeah, it's high proof is the new trend right now. It's become the new trend.
Exactly.
So you're gonna.
Like, I feel like brands are going either Cristalino or high proof, but like you really can't do both. I'm yet to see the brand that has both the high proof and the Cristalino, and I don't think that because of the ideologies they would actually exist together.
No, everyone's coming out. Everyone's following everything with the high proofs, and so they were talking when I was in Mexico a couple weeks ago, talking with the master distillers. They're like, "Yeah, Blancos it's coming full circle back to Blancos now." And he goes, "And so the high proofs Blancos are going to be a thing." And they asked me, they said, "Where do you think things are going to go next?" And I said, "I think people are going to be looking for more high proof repos and aged expressions after that." And so you're going to be looking for like all the expressions to be high proof, because people are realizing that the flavor really pops when you go on the higher proofs.
Yeah, so, I mean, you see brands, obviously they can't come in categorically as tequila or mezcal. They come in as destilado de agave, but bringing up puntas also, and it's only because there's and it's a small sector, but still there's a segment of people that are interested in the flavor that's there, not the hard ABV. It's because, you know, that becomes kind of like the misleading parts. Like, oh, it's 68% puntas, it's going to be super harsh, and all of a sudden they try, like, whoa, that's like an explosion of flavor. And then it makes more sense when I tell people we blend back in our puntas and our colas dulces into our final profile to make what La Luna is. Like, then people are like, oh, I get why, because you see how much lives in that part of the distillation that you'd want it as a part of your product. And the only I guess the worst part of it all in some ways is, you know, you cross the border going south, because right now I'm north, I'm in California, and then you start finding even things that are more diluted, you know, 35%, because the category allows it, and because there's tax savings in Mexico, and a lot of the wrong reasons that Mexico got used to low ABVs, because that's what you see most of. And the fad of Cristalino is heavy and thick there. You see it the moment you get out of the Guadalajara airport. You see all the big the promotion pieces in the air that are all revolved around Cristalinos.
Well, it's the whole luxury concept that goes behind them that the Mexican people have embraced.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Jason, just some comments real quick. Jason says the La Luna was his gateway into mezcal. He got pretty broad in his mezcal brand exploration, but La Luna is still his go-to. There you go. And then the Love of Mezcal says that higher ABV wood fermentation to Ona crushing makes you think of, well, tequila was originally a mezcal. It still categorically is a mezcal. It just can't call it a mezcal because of the DO stuff. But it was originally Vino de Mezcal, or de Tequila. It was the name of it when it was originally done a long time ago. So it's still a mezcal. By definition.
Well, yeah, there's obviously the carve out of diffuser tequila because of the fact that it's technically not cooked agave.
Yeah.
But almost anything that was produced from cooked agave categorically fit into the word mezcal. And it was, you know, it just became, I think, circumstance in Mexico. A lot of it, like I said, has to do with, you know, money and ultimately profit, not necessarily in a bad way. I don't say it negatively, but if you think about Blue Weber and the existence of higher yields, shorter maturity time compared to, like in our case, Bruto, which could take 25 years, 30 years to mature, you would never choose that agave to make a category out of, you know, not to make a big one.
Yeah.
And so I get it. And then, you know, like I said, in Mexico, what any producer is the two taxes that are involved down there, which are IVA and IEPS, and although anyone can say, well, they're passed on to the consumer, the problem is that it changes the buying power of a consumer. If you have more or less an 100% tax on a product, it absolutely prices people out of the market. So it's a very tough one, I think, in Mexico in some ways, how you can, bring back the love of the historical ABVs, and because you still see clips of novelas from back in the day where people are sitting in what was a tequila distillery and they're drinking 49% tequila, but that was like, it didn't seem like it was a novelty. It sounded like they were like, that's what we do, so we'll see how it goes, but I think everything's going more towards the higher proof ABV, and there's a lot of great brands in the tequila category kind of leading that effort. It's not just one. There's so many now that are great brands with great producers behind them that have great owners that are kind of attracted to all of this and are pushing it forward.
Yeah, I actually have some brands that I'll be reviewing here soon that have all high proof expressions. So
there you go.
Those are going to be fun to review because I got to watch what I'm feeling like by the time I'm done, because I don't know how much I'm going to be tasting.
Agreed.
All right, so talking about tasting, why don't we get into the tasting portion of this live stream, and we'll kind of walk people through first what to do. So those of you that have the bottle, if you haven't opened it yet, go ahead and pop that sucker open. And we're going to pour a little bit in the glass, and then we're going to walk through some things. For those of you that have never been through an official tequila or mezcal tasting, I'm going to kind of walk you through that. I know some of you are more experienced and know how to do all this stuff. But for those of you that don't, I'm going to walk you through it. This is kind of the education piece. So first you're going to pour your mezcal into your glass. Hopefully you have something that's more of a bowl shaped. You can use a wine glass like this. You could use, if you don't have the Denver and Lively glass like I use, you could even use like a little, flute type glass like this, or a Riedel. Or if you want to go traditional for mezcal, you can go copita, which is like this. I like to use the Denver and Lively glass because it really opens up the spirit and gets it to you really pick up a lot of notes and stuff for it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're gonna when you taste an agave spirit, you taste with your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and actually if you cheer somebody, your ears too. So but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start tasting this with our eyes. So we're going to swirl it around the glass a little bit. And this is where he's talking about the oiliness of it and kind of getting the oiliness out of the agave to see what it looks like. So when you look at it in the glass, you can see the legs and the legs forming and dripping down the glass. It's got nice lacing to it. So it's going to have a nice oily viscosity to it. So it looks great. It looks beautiful. And then looking at the mezcal itself, it's crystal clear, no floaties or anything. It's just dashes of silver sparkling through it, which looks phenomenal. So right there, we tasted with our eyes. Okay, so now we're gonna do a little nosing on this. Now, when you're nosing, you want to use both nostrils, because if you just use one, you can miss things. So what you want to do is you want to basically, if you ever noticed at a restaurant, when they serve you, they normally serve you from right to left. They'll come around to your right side. They'll put a plate across the table in the nice restaurants that know this, because you want to really start with your right side when nosing, because that's the side where you're going to draw a lot of the stuff, and then you'll finish with your left side. So you basically want to take your glass and you want to start with your right nostril. I'm looking at the screen, it's going to be my left, but it's actually my right. And you just want to start nosing it and coming across to your left nostril, and you'll notice the nosing, the aromas on it will expand as you move from one nostril to the other, and then incorporate both of them. And you can pick up the notes. Like for me, you guys can start commenting too on what you're picking up on the nose. But for me, I get a nice earthiness that comes through. It's almost like what it reminds me of is. I used to live in an area where we had a lot of horses, equestrian. And if you've ever walked into an equestrian bridal shop, it's called bridal, but it's not wedding, it's more for horses. And you've smelled like what the new leather stuff that's hanging up in there smells like. It has a really nice smell like this. So it smells like new, fresh leather for me coming through, which is a nice earthy aroma. I definitely pick up some sweet fruit notes to it. I get like some cinnamon, which is, you know, your classic Weber Blue Agave. It's a little on the herbal side too. It's got a little nice herbalness to it. So what are some of the notes you guys are picking up on the nose? Go ahead and comment and let's see what some of the stuff you guys are picking up. And what do you think about the nose on it so far? I don't get smoke. I know a lot of you probably looking or thinking I don't get smoke at all on this. Cole Center says definitely leather. Yeah, you definitely pick up that leather, that earthy leather note.
And I'm with you on the nose. A lot of minerality.
Yeah.
A lot of earthiness. I was saying earlier that to me, a lot of that stems from the clay pot distillation, just being a little bit more impactful to the flavor. Like the wood, to me, when we distill with the wood still, the wood Montera, it doesn't impart too many flavors to it, whereas the clay pot, besides being porous and so you yield very little, it does impart a lot of what makes up a clay pot, which is, you know, clay, a lot of mineral,
right,
a lot of earth.
Anything else? Anybody else want to comment on anything else they're picking up on the nose? And whether you like it so far on the nose, or let's see some comments. Let's see what you guys think. I think the nose smells really nice. I like it. I definitely can pick up that classic Weber Blue cinnamon, you know, sweetness in there, and a little bit of ripe fruit on there as well. Nope, no other comments? Okay. All right, so let's get into the tasting part now. So what we're going to do first, before you actually try to ascertain flavor notes from it, we're going to put some of the mezcal in your mouth and just swish it around, because this is 50.1% alcohol. So we're going to get our mouth, our gums, and everything acclimated to high proof, especially if this is your first sip. Hopefully it is. Hopefully you haven't drank anything else before this. So go ahead and take a sip and swish it around your mouth and then swallow. Not really looking to really pick up any flavors or anything. We're just getting our mouth acclimated. You'll feel it sting in your gums and your lips and stuff. It's just your mouth becoming acclimated to high proof alcohol. And you want to wait for it to kind of settle down. And then once it settles down, then what you're going to do is you're going to take a sip and you're going to swish it all over your tongue. And then try to start picking out flavor notes from it. Now, keep in mind, this is going to have a different flavor profile than tequila that you're used to. It's going to have more earthiness to it. It's going to have more complexity. There's going to be a lot of different notes that you normally don't find in the industrialized tequila that we drink today, but it also will have some that you are similar with, because of course it is using Weber Blue Agave. So you'll be able to pick out the differences, as well as you'll pick out some of the stuff that you recognize from tequila. So the whole idea on building your palate is to be able to pick this apart and to understand what kind of flavors you're picking up and be able to identify them. So it may take some time for you to get acclimated to it. There's some people that when they first tried tequila may not have liked it, but again, got acclimated to the flavor profile and they'll love it. Same with like me with coffee. I could never stand drinking coffee, but now I drink it black every morning. Same with beer. When I first had my first sip of beer, I thought it tasted gross, but now I love beer. So, and you drink it frequently. So it's kind of like the same thing, where it's a new flavor. It's something that you may need to get used to. And some of you that have already been mezcal drinkers for a while are already acclimated to it and will appreciate this. But for those of you that don't be turned off if it's something that you're a little bit like about. We're going to give it some time, and we'll talk about that after we do the tasting. So right now we're going to put some in our mouth, swish it around, taste it, and see what kind of notes we're picking up on the flavor profile. I like it. So I get a little bit of earthiness that comes through on it, but the first thing that comes across is that a really kind of sweet, tart cinnamon note that comes through on the beginning. It's kind of like cinnamon mixed with I'm trying to think of what else, because it's got a tart, almost like I want to say like grapefruit, like a tart grapefruit note that comes in with the scent, like almost the cinnamon top note on top of it.
Which I think in some ways you'd find in a lot of the tequilas you'd love, right? Like some of the same notes, but just maybe more pronounced, kind of are present.
Yeah.
Like I think you had mentioned minty earlier. I think you said that word. I don't know if that was you said that or no. Someone else said that maybe. I don't know. But I felt like mint a lot of times is present in tequilas. So they're there.
Yeah, no, it's this definitely, I get that like a tart citrus grapefruit kind of note that comes through on it. I get that cinnamon top note on it. What are some of the things you guys are picking up on your flavors? Let's hear some. I don't want to mention all the flavors again, but I want you guys to contribute too. I have a bottle, but I'm trying to put. Okay, well, put your kids to sleep, Odo, and grab some.
Give them some. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. That put them to sleep pretty fast.
Jason says no smoke on the nose for me. I do get a lot of vegetal herbal notes and love it. Okay, great. So come on, what are some of the other things you guys are picking up on this? And what do you think about it so far? It's going to be a little different than the tequila you're used to. Let's see if anybody will comment. Otherwise, I have to do all the. Well, what are you picking up on your tasting notes there, Salvador?
I mean, they kind of already been hit on. I think a lot of the vegetal things to me are present. It's almost like I feel like it's two parts. The front part more citrus, both lime and grapefruit to me, and the back end more vegetal, kind of more savory in some ways. So it's kind of like a phase out in some ways, like the first stage of it front of the palate, and then it kind of goes in the back end. It's interesting because in some ways the back end is where you would find everyone kind of making those faces like that. That's usually when it happens.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's like seemed like the most pleasant part to me, like when it's actually, kind of going through. So
on the finish, yeah.
An experience, I would say. I've had my fair share of tequilas that make me make faces, but not for the right reasons. Because honestly, there's not one. I've had recently been experiencing like 65% whiskey, stuff like that. And it's all, to the point you were making earlier about high proof. It's delicious, And then equally, get my hands on some 40% whiskey that, we all could probably name the brands. And you're like, oh, definitely. So it's interesting to find the 50% on the back end, just a lot more pleasant of a finish.
Yeah, it definitely finishes, it has a sweet citrus finish for me. That's what I pick up on the end of it. It's a palate, cinnamon, citrus, and a hint of smoke. Okay, yeah.
And Jason, was Jason someone that? Well, he was one that said he already drank. He had the Paradas series as well, or no? No. Not Paradas, the Temporada de Lluvia.
Yeah, he had the Temporada. Yeah. He liked that one, and then he also said he liked the Brutos. He said it was awesome. Nice. So
there you go. Yeah, I agree. See, the finish is savory, jerky. I could see that. I like that, like a dry cecina meat.
Yeah. And Jason said long finish, minty, medicinal in a good way.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, I can definitely see that.
I always love that. Mezcal is like the only category that you always kind of have to finish certain adjectives or statements with in a good way. It's always like, oh, this tastes, it smells like cement in a good way. I'm like, okay, it smells like tastes like leather, but in a good way.
What did Otto say? He says, "Man, I have my room ready. I went. Can go back and see this video." Oh,
you're gonna watch it.
Yeah. Charles says it's amazing how durable the finish is. The lime, grapefruit, white pepper lingers. Yeah, it does. I agree with you. And the finish it sits there on the palate and just I like the journey that this takes you on. I like. I can see myself definitely sitting there and just sipping this in an afternoon, and even like cutting up some slices of orange, and have some orange slices with it, or even some watermelon with it. I think would go nicely with it as well. And then I enjoy a good stogie, so I could definitely enjoy a good stogie with this, and will enjoy good stogies with this, because I think, for me, spirits like this go great with stogies. And a lot of people don't know this too, that a lot of the producers, I don't think you do this, Salvador, but a lot of the producers smoke.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Not me. I handle my stress differently. Usually is consuming some of the juice that we produce. But yeah, I see a lot of chain smoking going on by the stills. I was gonna say, when I sip, you mentioned earlier, I go back to the word, I'm sipping it and I get mint, and I feel like when I'm finishing it, I feel like I'm breathing out mint. So like mint to me is very pronounced in this expression. Amongst other stuff that I mentioned.
It definitely has a herbal mintiness to it. Yeah. But I think the thing that I really like about this expression is the fact that you could pull out a regular tequila and drink tequila and then move on to this to be like, okay, yes, the things just got a lot better for me. What is this? How would you compare this to the Temporada de Lluvias? It's different. The Temporada de Lluvias to Lluvias, because it has the pomegranate in it, it's a lot more fruit forward for me. So it has a lot more of that sweet pomegranate note to it.
In some ways, I would call it softer. It's the variance is 1.5%, but the fruit gave it a softness to it that I think. And that was like 2018. No. It was like 2020.
Is the date on there?
When we did that. Yeah, like 2021. Back then, I would say that like that was a part that I felt appealed to a lot of people. It was so soft in its approach. So that I would say that, Aaron. Besides the exact differences in flavor profile, they're just like this one has a lot more going on, lingers a lot longer. The other one was like a lot softer. Both like when you switched it around the palate to like finishing, it was a lot softer, a little bit more round. I feel like because of the fruit. The fruit really came through there, and pomegranate. It was the first time we had ever distilled with pomegranate.
Oh, okay.
But it was like the right call. So.
Yeah, so actually both of these together, if you were to drink them together, you'd get two different experiences from them. And also they used a hollowed out tree trunk as the still for the Temporada. He sent me a picture of it too. It's like a small like tree stump that they put a copper cooling thing on the top of it. So the worm would come, so it would chill, and the spirit would come out from the worm. But underneath it was a clay pot that went underneath the tree trunk, and they distilled it through this tree trunk. And so the processes were a little different. So it has a little different flavor profile to it, but they both would complement each other really nicely. I've gone through like 16 bottles of the La Luna so far myself. So the Temporada, because it's like once I pop a bottle and start drinking it in the garage, I have a cigar or whatever, watching football or whatever sport I've got going, I end up finishing the bottle. So, and having some friends over and having them drink it too, and they're like, "What is this? This doesn't taste like tequila." I go, "No, it's a mezcal, but basically the same ingredient as tequila except for the pomegranate, which tequila doesn't allow for pechugas." So it is amazing. Otto, don't you have a bottle? Are you tasting along with this or what? Oh, Jason says he's tasting the Temporada de Lluvias now. Soft and fruity is a great description. Yes, very different than the Paradas por Patria. I really enjoy them both. I think they're different too. Yeah, and they complement each other. So I know when we did the pre-sale on the La Luna, and by the way, I know Salvador and I both apologize for the delays and stuff that we had on the Paradas por Patria. It was a logistics problem that we were trying to get resolved with the distributor, but we were able to get the orders filled, and hopefully all of you were able to get your orders for today and have them available. But that was something that the distributor, we had issues with them getting it set up, and so we could order it. So it's available now, and it's all set up. So there's plenty to order. So if you want to order it, you can go for it, and it's ready to go with ferment and still. Is
It'd be
it?
great to sip on it Memorial Day.
Yes, I do have a bottle. I'm still doing daddy duty. Oh, okay. Then Otto needs it. Then it sounds like he needs the stuff.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
think that experience that Jason just described, I think that really is kind of fitting for our brand because like even in some ways with our regular lineup, Manto Saguayo definitely usually shines really well with like newer mezcal drinkers because Manto Saguayo has so much sugar to it. It's a bricks of sugar, the very sugar rich agave. It usually comes out a little bit softer in the profile as if you did distill it with fruit, you know? And whereas like Chino, for example, someone like you, Mark, who is very experienced palate, you appreciate it for what it is. But some people might try like, wow, too much going on, or a little harsher. And so like it's kind of cool with the line. The agave is really, it's any wine drinker can attest to the fact that a Chardonnay usually doesn't taste like Sauvignon Blanc or a Pinot Grigio, and that's kind of the cool part with our brand. It's like we're able to express through the same production style so many different flavors and layers of things going on.
Yeah. Well, and I remember you telling me the story. I think it was on the Chino where, or was it the Bruto, that there's another producer that uses Bruto that's not too far from where you are, that produces a Raicilla, and you can look at both expressions that use Bruto, and they're both very different.
Yeah, it's so if you cross over to the Jalisco side in Manzanilla, right by Mazamitla, because it's still Sierra del Tigre. There's a producer there that produces for the brand La Venenosa, which a lot of people recognize as a raicilla, and it's orange label. And he single distills in clay pot, and we double distill in clay pot. He single distills because he uses basically like a woven grass layer under the copper cone as kind of like a reflux tool. So he just single distills, and it ends up it's like 42% alcohol, but vastly different, like so different. Most people consider that expression of La Venenosa, that Inaquiden's Bruto expression, one of the funkiest and cheesiest, and I can attest to that as a single distillation. Whereas ours, as second distillation, we ferment it with pulque also, so one other variance. Um, it comes out very different. I would say the Bruto also kind of like for a different reason, a little bit softer. Like not as alcohol forward, if you will. I guess if that's the right term.
Yeah. Jason says, no matter why I like the Manso Soyo so much.
Yeah, there you go. See, put some reference to it.
I've got a whole La Luna shelf up here, so I've got like all their stuff. I'm a big fan of the whole La Luna line, and I actually have a bottle of the Sergio Cruz artisanal Tequiliana, which it's phenomenal in that it has a really interesting flavor profile. And I remember when I had Salvador on a live stream before, and I go, I don't know but I get bubblegum from this. He's like, yeah, because I've had a lot of people tell me they get the bubblegum note from it. So it was a really interesting batch that he did, and I still have. I bought 2 bottles of it. And I still have a bottle left. So
recently I forget how it happened, but someone sent boxes back of Tequilana, and it randomly one whole case was of that batch, and I was like, oh, I'm saving this for me. So I've been sipping a lot of that recently too, and it was cool because it takes me back to the journey, because that story kind of tells our story well, where in the beginning we were kind of learning what we were doing, and through friends like Sergio, because on that bottle, if you look at it, it says Sergio Cruz and it says Higi Perez, and they kind of collaborate on it, Higi being much more on the mezcal side, Sergio Cruz much more on the industrial side.
Yeah.
And then us really finding our ways throughout that, like, I guess it was like a 6-month journey from like our first batch and working kinks out to then a little later working in Cotija for a whole month with Adrian to create our ultimate flavor profile or process. And we did the 6 maguey ensemble on that run. And that was a very challenging run because it was 6 different agaves in one batch. It was
Wow.
1 ton of each in a 6-ton oven. So yeah, it was. I look back at that bottle like, wow, this is kind of like history for me. Looking back that way.
Yeah, I just like to go back and taste every once in a while. I go, this is really good, and I really like it. So I didn't want to drink it too fast because I didn't want it to be gone. So
that one, oddly enough, I would say, besides the bubble gum, like pairs well with the stogie, because I remember it had like a lot of leather qualities, like a lot of I kind of had that tobacco-ish, kind of quality.
Yeah, but the bubble gum, which for people that don't know, the flavor, the bubblegum flavor is actually a blend of a bunch of different berry notes. So it's just a bunch of different like ripe sweet berries that when the flavor profile comes together, it gives a bubblegum note to it. And so that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about that particular expression, that Sergio Cruz really knocked it out of the park with that one. All right. So, any other questions about the Paradas por Patria? I always called it X Patria, so because X.
Yeah.
But now I know they call it por, so I've been corrected.
That's just it's one of those things of the language. We shorten the words up.
Yeah. So, anybody have any questions about this or in La Luna in general? They want to ask? Go ahead. Let's ask them now. Let's take advantage of Salvador while we have him here, and then we can wrap this up. And I'd like to hear too, if you guys have comments about those of you that are tasting along, what you think about this Paradas por Patria expression from La Luna, and being a truly an ancestral tequila style mezcal, because they can't call it tequila. Although in secret, Salvador and I have been talking about trying to work on doing an ancestral tequila, but we ran into some issues with being able to get it certified tequila because of the fact that they make mezcal at the distiller. Any recommended snacks with this? Yeah, like orange slices would go good with it. Roasted crickets would work great.
Yeah, and a weird twist, I'd say some like dried mangoes. Those dried mangoes you could get could work well with these too.
Yeah. Even like dried apricots might work good too. Yeah. And even some roasted nuts would go good. Like some cashews, I think would go nicely with this. If you like roasted nuts, or food that pairs well. Well, tacos definitely. I with a good Michoacan carnitas taco. This would be great.
Yeah, and then was it like food? I don't know. I'd kind of go back to like snacks, but I feel like something like with pineapple would go well. Like if you do some pineapple tahini and citrus on it, something like that. That would be kind of nice little. I don't know if that's a meal, but
yeah. Well, it could be like what is it? What's the tacos that the pastor? Yeah, pastor tacos, yeah. with the pineapple, the pina dripping on it. Question about La Luna load numbers. Do they count up per expression or across all expressions?
Across. Yeah, we're at batch 200 something across everything we've ever done, not across one expression. We chose to do that probably after lote like 18, because at one point you'd find lote 1, 2, 3, which were kind of our original releases, and then we did the bruto under like a name. I forget what we called that lote. And then we were like, no, it's gonna get confusing. Everything's got to be in sequence. And then now we've been able to kind of keep track of how many batches we've done because of that, which I was mentioning right now, just getting back. We were like over batch 200 something of those. A lot of those are the black label. The black label, a lot of people can find for $40. Those are a lot of our batches, but probably 100 of them are different expressions of either ensambles, single varietal, agaves, and or pechugas destilado con. So we have a lot of expressions out there now, which has been, it's a lot of work. It's been a lot of work, but a lot of fun.
And he says he has La Luna Chino Lote 3.
Yeah, there you go. That's like the OG ones. Yeah, the Manso was 1. Tequilana we labeled 2, although that one we did first. It was just how we ledgered it.
It was the first Chino load of Tequilana, the one that Sergio Cruz did.
One, I knew when we started producing ourselves, I knew that what I wanted to do first was Tequilana, because I felt like it was appropriate for that history that I talked about earlier, both DOs, Michoacan, and more so something that was relatable to people, like people that were mostly tequila drinkers. So it seems to be still the right path where Tequilana kind of resonates with some folks as like the bridge that connects both worlds of mezcal and tequila.
So Cole Center says he really enjoyed this expression. Look forward to expanding your mezcal palette further. Nice, good. I love hearing that. Awesome. And we'll take you. We've got a bunch of mezcal Mondays that are going to be coming up, so we'll feature some more La Luna stuff as it comes out. I'm sure Salvador will share it with me, and we can let you guys. And I've got some of his other expressions we can revisit too, and introduce you to some of those as well. and
Yep.
as well as some of the other mezcaleros and stuff that are out there that are producing some good stuff. So Otto wants to know if there's any future projects with the Hombre and La Luna. Well, not right now because we just did this one, but I'm sure if he has a project he wants to do, we can talk about it. Absolutely, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, between potential barrels in the tequila world that are different than this, I mean, shoot, maybe even a tequilana aged expression barrel, a barrel of that in the future. I could see us doing that. I've always been kind of anti-barrel for mezcal in some ways, but at the same time, you know, we've been a brand that's created a lot of new projects for ourselves that have been better for the market, and I could see tequilana in a barrel even softer in some ways and much more around the repo añejo category that people seem to love tequila. So we'll see. I could see that being a part of our history and something that I'm sure, you know, I would venture to say that Tequila Hombre could sell that faster almost in some regular mezcal, but we'll see.
Well, we
Single
have
barrel.
with the Tequila Barrel and Agave Collective, we definitely, you know, if you would give us the honor of being the first to do a La Luna aged expression, I'm definitely sure that we could sell it. Even if we did something with Gran Duvejo, because I know you were talking about doing a relaunch of Gran Duvejo.
Yeah,
And
that's imminent.
and
That's going to come. I will say that when that happens with your crowd, it'll be well worth a few of these to, like, you know, one the Blanco, because I just know without revealing too much around that idea, uh, I know it will come with a lot of complexities that will be enjoyable for the folks that like La Luna, but like tequila. Period. So we'll when we get there. I don't want to, you know, get ahead of myself, but I'm hoping that a few things go our way in the next 6 months. We could be seeing it. Maybe it'll be Christmas presents.
okay, be launching the La Luna aged expression, or you be relaunching the Gran Duvejo.
Gran Novejo, I hope. My hope is that if, like I said, a few things go our way, maybe this year we could relaunch it aggressively. So we'll see. You know, but there's plenty of things that we're doing that I'm sure will resonate with the folks that are fans of yours.
Oh, awesome. Well, if you're going to do a single barrel offerings, we want to be the first. Okay.
Okay, you got it.
Awesome. That's what is it? Our mezcal's aged like tequila rep. They are, but typically you don't see good mezcals aging them because they typically will use older agave because the wild agave and stuff, and so they want to honor the agave and they want you to taste the agave because that's what it's all about. But you'll see some of the ones that use more espadín and stuff that are doing lower quality that will offer aged expressions. There's some brands that do that. And I know he was talking about doing it because he uses Weber Blue, which is cultivated, it's farmed. And so it's not, you know, utilizing and basically wiping out a flavor profile from a agave that may be 25 or 30 years old. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, I would say that, you know, I don't know the future, but just knowing myself and knowing what we've done thus far, Tequilana would probably be the only one we probably would do in barrels for the reason you just mentioned. And in general, we've always been kind of anti-barrel aging because we felt that the Blanco spoke for itself. A lot of flavor, to the point Mark was making. Sometimes people, both in the worlds of whiskey as well as tequila or mezcal for that matter, try to use a barrel to kind of mask some deficiencies in the Blancos. And in our world, it's going to be the opposite, because if you can imagine this expression that you're sipping on, or our regular tequilana in a barrel, and what you might like in a repo or añejo tequila, like, I think you'd really appreciate it. So we'll see. I mean, I know it's imminent, so like, don't be surprised. I'm saying it here because I think it's around the corner.
All right, and I talk to Salvador a lot. We chat with each other quite a bit, so I'm sure if he's working on something, he'll let me know about it, and I can let you guys know about it. So it says I buy pretty much anything Salvador makes. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan too.
Appreciate that, Jason.
The La Luna's good stuff. Hey, maybe we should plan a trip to bring the group up. We'll do a Tequila Hombre trip to the Palenque and visit visit your facilities.
Luna,
yeah.
In Michoacán, we call them vinatas, but nevertheless,
Vinatas,
point well taken. I think that that would be very, very appropriate. So yeah, let's we can work on that too. That would be amazing.
How far are you from the marketplace where the carnitas was invented?
We are about, I want want to say an hour and a half, hour and a half, roughly speaking.
Okay.
Not too bad.
That's a bucket list item for me, is to go try the carnitas out of that one marketplace where the guy originally created carnitas.
Yeah, for sure.
Everyone always says they're like the best, so I want to get some Michoacan carnitas.
Yeah.
All right, so any other questions or any other comments for Salvador while we have him here? Last call. I'm sure he's here in California, so it's, we're looking at, what time is it now? Almost 5 after 8. Yeah, and he's got kids and stuff too, so nope. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Salvador. I appreciate you coming on and sharing this spirit with us. This spirit is exclusively available. The Paradas por Patria is exclusively available from it, and still you can only get it there. We bought the whole batch to support Salvador and what he does after I tasted it, and it's an offering that we're proud to offer. So we hope you guys will come and pick some up and try it and share your thoughts and stuff with us, and let us know what you think. And then if you enjoy that, I'm gonna start doing Mezcal Mondays now. This is gonna kick off diving more into mezcals, and so we're gonna do not only mezcals but raicillas, bacanoras, sotos. We're gonna get into a bunch of other agave spirits as well as sotos, which are not necessarily agave spirits, but allow you guys to expand your palates and enjoy more agave spirits. So Cole says thank you. Chris says thanks to both of you. Really glad you enjoyed it. Odo, who's still watching his kids, says thanks to both of you. Thank you very much, Odo. Let us know what you think, Odo, when you try the bottle. I'd like to hear your comment. You can comment on this. This live stream will be posted on. It'll be on YouTube after we're done here, and that's it. So I think we're ready to wrap this up.
Thank you guys very much.
So like I always say, life is too short to drink bad tequila or agave spirits. So keep following here on the Tequila Hombre channel, you guys. Watch the reviews, watch the informational live streams and stuff like this, and hopefully you'll find some great stuff that you enjoy, just like the La Luna Mezcal that we're featuring tonight. All right, salute, guys.
Thank you guys very much.
All right, hang tight. I'll talk to you offline, Salvador.
All right.
And